Well, this was the penultimate episode of Arrow, the episode before the season finale next week, or at least I think it's next week. And it really raises the stakes. There's a huge cliffhanger at the end. But before I get into any of that, I have to tackle the story, as I do in all of these vlogs. Now, picks up after the previous episode. Team Arrow is still trying to fight crime in Starling City, but the thing is, they just Diggle, he's really going through some emotional turmoil since Oliver was his best friend, and his best friend kidnapped his wife, so he's really trying to take it out on the criminals. And Felicity and Laurel are sort of calling him out on this and saying, like, you can't be doing this. And then Malcolm comes to them and reveals, okay, well, Oliver is still there. I mean, this whole loyalty to Ra's al Ghul thing was all just a ruse, and we have to go because it turns out that our plan, which was to have him infiltrate the League of Shadows and dismantle it over a longer period of time, that's not going to work because they're planning on unleashing the virus seen in the flashbacks on Starling City. Now, in order to support his case, Malcolm brings in Tatsu. I keep mispronouncing her name. He brings in Tatsu to sort of help his case, and Team Arrow goes to Nanda Parbat, and basically an all-out war erupts in the League of Assassins. So that sets the stage for what is a pretty accomplished episode, all things considered. Now, first of all, I have to tackle the bad. First of all, honestly, there wasn't really a whole lot of bad with this episode. For the most part, I was really invested all the way through. But I think how this episode could have actually been improved is if they had not revealed immediately at the start of the episode that Oliver, this whole thing has been a ruse, has been a facade. He basically meets with Malcolm outside of Nanda Parbat, like a quarter mile outside of the temple. They're sitting around a campfire, and they're discussing, the plan is not going to work. We're out of time. They're going to unleash the virus. You need to do this. You need to do this. We're going to do this. So I actually think that in revealing that so early, or at least early in relation to the finale, and in relation to the rest of the episode, I actually think they robbed it of a bit of the drama. I think it would have worked well if we'd only heard the story through Malcolm's own words, and from Oliver's side, I think it would have helped if we had a little bit of ambiguity as to is he really just faking the whole loyalty to Ra's thing, or is he just really playing with audiences' expectations. I actually think it would have helped if, again, there was some ambiguity, as if we did not know. I mean, yeah, we have Malcolm's word, but again, we know how trustworthy he is. So I actually think it would have really increased the tension if we did not know for certain that Oliver was a double agent. But really, that was the only major gripe I had about the episode. For the most part, I really, really enjoyed it. This was a great build-up for the season finale. Now, what did I like about it? Well, first of all, I really like how the relationship has grown between Malcolm and Oliver. They were enemies once, and now, granted, it's not like Oliver likes Malcolm, and it's not like he trusts him fully, but he understands that Malcolm has these skills, these advantages over his other allies that make him an invaluable asset in this particular plan. And Malcolm even says this, if he had told you, then it would not have, then the deception would not have been sold. None of you are particularly good actors. And first of all, that was a pretty funny line, and I wonder how John Barrowman was during its delivery. I wonder if he had fun saying that to the other cast members, like, none of you are particularly good actors, not like me. All right, so So from a character's perspective, I understand why they did this, because Malcolm, he is a very good liar. I have to give it to him. He is very good at not playing his entire hand. He is very good at seeming trustworthy, but at the same time you can tell that there's just something off. You can never quite tell if he's telling the truth or if he's lying. So that's actually what makes him a pretty entertaining character, and that's what makes him so integral to this plan. Now, what else worked? Well, I just liked the episodic conflict between Team Arrow, Katana, and or they don't actually call her Katana. She's still Tatsu, but the team goes to Nanda Parbat, and it's this huge action scene, and they're really grappling with if there's even a chance that this virus could be unleashed on Starling, we have to go. I mean, it's what we do. So from that perspective, they had a narrative reason for going, a fairly compelling narrative reason, because they still have their sense of duty to think about. They actually go because of their sense of duty more so than any sort of devotion to Oliver or any sort of belief in Malcolm. So I thought it was very important to clarify that. But in addition, it paves the way for this huge action scene. They go to Nanda Parbat and they're ambushed by this battalion of assassins, and this huge action scene. Granted, I don't think they should have lasted as long as they did, or at least not some of them, because Laurel has proven herself time and time again to not be a particularly good fighter. So I don't think she should have been able to take on 3 League of Assassins members at once. So I thought that was a little hard to believe. Everyone else was fine, because Diggle was using his gun, this machine gun. Felicity was just trying to hack the plane. Malcolm, of course, is Malcolm. He has his own fighting skills. And Tatsu, she's using her katana. She's in full costume as the character Katana. And I'm really liking the costume, by the way. Although this is yet another character that's going to be in the Suicide Squad movie that first showed up in Arrow. So another character who I don't know what Warner Brothers is doing. Granted, I've said before how I'm sort of glad that they're not tarnishing the TV universe by having it in the same continuity as Man of Steel, but at the same time you have this built-in fan base for the TV universe, and you're trying to start completely new with the movie universe and potentially confusing viewers. But I digress. Really liking the costume, and Ryla Fukushima, the actress who plays Katana, she actually does a really good job here. I mean, she hasn't had a very long career at all. I mean, the first thing I saw her in was The Wolverine, and before that, I think she had only been in a few things. And now she's in this, and recently I saw her in an episode of Game of Thrones. Granted, it was just a cameo, but she played a priestess, so I'm like, wow, she's really moving up in her career. Hopefully she has a pretty long career, because she really does a great job here. and the sort of character arc that they've been building with Tatsu, and her relationship with her husband really comes full circle here. So not only does that provide the opportunity for Ryla Fukushima to turn in a really heart-wrenching performance, but in addition, it was the most intriguing arc of the episode in that she actually had to duel with Maseo on the battlefield, and when she killed him, he says, "Thank you for releasing me." And she's cradling him in her arms, she's singing to him, which is the same song that she sang to her son as he was dying in the flashbacks, which, by the way, that was very, very heartbreaking. And eventually she just sort of breaks down. And I felt that was a pretty poignant moment in an episode full of them. But that was a particular standout. So yeah, once the action scene is over, which, by the way, it's very well shot. But once the action scene is over, they get captured, and once again they try to reach Oliver. Oliver is not having any of it, and he basically leaves them in a room with the Alpha Omega weapon, the bioweapon, leaves them in the dungeon to die. Malcolm supposedly betrays them. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions like, oh, I knew it, I knew you were a traitor, because, this, again, could just be another part of the plan. So I'm going to reserve judgment on that until I see the finale. But Nyssa is being forced by her father to marry Al-Sahim, and she basically, which I felt really bad for her in this entire episode. She's basically been taken prisoner by her own father, by her own people, and she's being forced to marry this guy who clearly she does not like. And her father says, once the wedding is over, you will conceive a son who will be the new heir to the demon. And he doesn't even ask her. And when she tries to object, he basically immediately shoots her down. She is just constantly under his thumb. So hence why I felt pretty bad for her. So yeah, this was a pretty accomplished episode. Aside from a few narrative hiccups in that I think they sort of wasted the dramatic potential that could have been derived had they kept the whole Oliver's loyalty thing more ambiguous than they did. But for the most part, this was a pretty accomplished episode. It really got me hyped for the season finale. And yeah, that's about all I got. So until next time.